can just pick up on one more point before we take some more questions. Ursula, one of the criticisms when the Foreign Minister announced the review of aid effectiveness in terms of Australia's program, one of the criticisms from Aid Watch organisations is that Australia still has a national interest conditionality on its aid. What's your view of that? Is national interest necessarily a problem in delivery of aid? Should it be completely? Should our aid delivery be completely removed from national interest?
Oh, ouch. Well, I think the challenge, of course, being that how our participation in a range of international forums is contingent upon national interest, or defined in terms of the national interest. So, but in terms of aid, my personal view is that there are times when governments need to be pragmatic about adhering to that principle, and I think that in terms of our own aid program, there would be many times when I've sat in Senate estimates and defended programs that have been supported by Australian aid, our Australian aid budget, where there has been an argument that it hasn't been in our national interest to do it. So I think that fundamentally the issue for us is about our participation as an international citizen, and it's in our national interest to be a good international citizen. The challenge is how that actually translates in practice. So, I don't know if that answers your question the way you expected.
That's fine, thank you, thank you. Can we take some more questions from the audience, please? Yes.
Thank you. Hello, my name's Adam. I'm representing Engineers Without Borders Australia tonight. We've seen some fantastic opportunities in the areas of information technology where people around the world can access the same quality of information as we can. However, this is dependent on their access through mobile phones and internet access, which in turn are dependent on rare elements such as iridium and coltan. Now, with the situation that we have where there are limited, very finite supplies of such elements, what role do you see for Australia playing in the realm of international resource management for the greater good? And on the flip side of the coin, with greater material wealth, which comes from reducing poverty, comes greater waste in some very difficult areas. And how do we balance reducing poverty and our environmental goals as a global community?
Okay, thanks. Any takers? I mean, I think one of...
More than happy to
Please, go.
Yeah, so I think that we shouldn't think of it as sort of weighing up environmental sustainability and responsibility and protection of materials versus achieving global poverty. Poverty is caused by, in many cases, irresponsible extraction of resources. So building in corporate accountability is about poverty reduction. And so the DRC is an excellent example, but there are a host of countries in which local communities, if not more widespread conflict, are at least partially influenced by resource extraction. And there are a number of ways in which developed countries can implement policies that will improve that. So one thing actually happened recently which was very positive in the US financial reform bill. There was an amendment inserted, and this was a good strategy because it might not have passed alone, but within this bill that would require companies to be transparent in any payments they made to foreign governments. So that sounds like a small step, but it's very important for active citizens to know what payments are going to their government in order to secure resource extraction rights. And if companies are required to report that in order to be on the SEC, then it's very likely it'll happen. So that's a small step. But there are a number of other things that can be done in terms of requirements for companies in terms of corporate accountability that will improve their conduct abroad. So I'm glad that you raised the point of environmental sustainability because it's one of the, I mean, it is going to erase the gains that have been made in development if we don't make it a serious, significant priority. So not just a priority for ourselves, but it is a development priority and one that we need to look at.
Diana, I'm just interested in your reflections on, since we've gotten onto the environmental sustainability, how that has been built into the Millennium Development Goals process.
Yes. There are two areas, actually two goals, where the issue of sustainability, environmental sustainability, have been important in the MDG process. One is MDG 7, which is explicitly on environmental sustainability. And by the way, this is probably one of the areas where there is least progress in these years. We still have important loss of biodiversity every year. We have important gaps in the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, and there are important loss of forestry in the world. So most of the targets that are part of MDG 7 have large gaps in achievement or lack of progress. So this is an area that we may want to emphasize going forward to the year 2015, but obviously this is an issue that is going to stay here post-2015. So whatever the Partnership for Development is going to be post-2015, environmental sustainability is going to feature very importantly. The second goal where environmental sustainability plays an important role is MDG 8, which is about building a global partnership for development. And there is an explicit target there on facilitating the transfer of technology to developing countries. The way the indicators read right now, they refer very specifically to information and communications technology, ICT. And in that area, there has been great progress in expanding the coverage of cellular phones and access to the internet, even in the poorest countries. In Africa, there is a very rapid increase of cellular phones. The area where there is not enough progress yet, and this is something that we have been emphasizing, is in the transfer of technology that is relevant to address climate change and food security, which is very closely related to climate change. So this is one important gap that has been identified for the next 5 years to 2015. And again, this is an issue that is going to be part of any agenda that we are going to set up post-2015.
But I think part of the question you're asking is the dilemma between environmental sustainability and the need and the importance of technology, modern technology and technological development, isn't it? I mean, is that a discussion, for example, at the summit in September? Was that contradiction raised?
It was not part of the formal discussion. I mean, it's been raised time and time again. It is one concern that we are being addressed right now. The World Employment and Social Survey 2011, which is a report that goes to the deliberations of ECOSOC, the Economic and Social Council, is about technology, education for climate change. And one of the issues that is taking this report on board is precisely this apparent trade-off between progress, growth, material well-being, and environmental sustainability. And one of the arguments we are making there is that it's not necessarily a trade-off. This is a great opportunity, as it was mentioned before, to activate or to be creative and to generate new technology that will help to support growth with environmental sustainability. And there are obviously lots of alternatives out there. I mean, there is now a technology that can support green growth. It has to be a priority internationally. And new resources will have to go into those kind of technologies.
Okay, thanks.